Honorable Minister to reply.
Mr. Vice Chairman, I am extremely grateful to the honorable members who have participated in this debate. I am also particularly grateful to Shri Pranab Mukherjee, one of our senior members, who headed the departmental related standing committee which went into this question in depth to find a solution to this whole problem. The honorable member Shri Bharadwaj rightly mentioned that there is a genuine concern amongst all segments to see that our security personnel are effectively not denied their right to vote. There may be different of perception how this right can be given. The standing committee has also subsequently in both formal and informal discussions with the important leaders of the opposition, as also with experts on the subject, we have tried to explore what options are available. The general who spoke just now spoke both as an honorable member of this house and as a soldier. He explained the difficulties of a soldier where in his entire career he got a right to vote only twice, and that also in a national election, not in the local elections. The easiest suggestion to make is expedite the postal system, or alternatively find out electronic methodologies. Let me just test each of these two suggestions which is made. The general just now read out the route that a ballot paper has to take. 540 constituencies for the Lok Sabha, a few thousand constituencies for the state assembly elections. The returning officers of these constituencies have no knowledge of where each soldier of the Indian Army is posted. So all that the returning officer can do in a postal ballot is to send lakhs of ballot papers to the army headquarters. Now this will happen after the withdrawal date. This is sent by post or by special messenger. It may take a couple of days. From the army headquarters, these lakhs of ballot papers are then to be segregated as to which soldier is posted at which point in the country. It will then be sent to some region, as he mentioned 99 APO in Calcutta. From Calcutta, it will reach Arunachal Pradesh. From Arunachal Pradesh, we will start identifying the actual physical movement of each soldier. In the case of army, on the border in the case of BSF, on a ship in the context of a navy, and then reach this in a couple of days. This places maybe a couple of days walking distance itself. Then this ballot will be cast, and through the nearest postal system, we again send back to each returning officer. Now the practical experience has shown that there is no alternative to this route being followed, as a result of which lakhs of our personnel covered under this facility are not able to exercise their vote. One view is that it is 10%, the other view is it's even less than 10%. Now it's very easy to suggest, we've consulted the best of experts on the subject. So the first factor you must have when you say find out electronic system methodology in this advanced age. So 540 electronic machines in the case of Lok Sabha election, because all soldiers at a given point don't belong to one constituency. If there are 10,000 soldiers posted at a point, they may be representing 500 constituencies. In the case of assembly, they may be representing thousands of constituencies. So thousands of ballot papers must be sent to all those unreachable places that the general was mentioning. And then whether you have a wireline connectivity there, you don't have a wireline connectivity there, and therefore the whole procedure, anybody with the reasonable knowledge of the subject would know that it is almost impossible in thousands of places to carry 540 electronic machines and keep them there so that the polling can take place. Now these are very generalized suggestions, find out a better system, but a better system does not have to fall from the sky. It has to be invented by this honorable house with the help of experts. And having consulted them, in fact, Shri Bharadwaj rightly mentioned that there were some reservations which some senior leaders have. And after this discussion, when it was pointed out that the alternatives being suggested, however well-meaning they may be, are not implementable, that those leaders felt that perhaps in view of this, there is no option left but to experiment this new system of allowing vote by a proxy system. Now it was mentioned, that's the second important question, that a vote by this system destroys the basic tenets of our democracy, which is secrecy of a ballot paper. Mr. Vice Chairman, the choice here is not between secrecy and openness. The choice here is either allowing them effectively no right to vote to our security personnel, or giving them an additional option of voluntarily relinquishing their vote to a proxy of their choice, which is permitted under law. This question of secrecy would arise if an alternative system of effective exercise of vote was available and we were denying it to them. Mr. Raghavan mentioned that people may not trust their wives. Well, there will be a series of relatives who will be the authorized persons mentioned in the rules. If you don't trust your wife, you can trust your parent, you can trust your adult child. And if you don't trust anybody, then please have some faith in the postal system. This is only an additional option being given. If you don't trust anybody, then have your faith that you may be one of the lucky 5% who may be able to vote through the postal ballot. And if you don't want to take a chance, you may actually take leave and come by a physical presence and cast your vote in the polling booth. These are all additional options which are available to you. And therefore, there are certainly problems which do get created. But let me just mention this. A number of members of this House would appreciate secrecy is important in an election. But secrecy does not get primacy over the very right to vote itself. When a number of us vote in a legislative house, we vote by an open ballot. A number of members have now started thinking, and that's one of the issues this House may discuss in near future, the right to an open ballot in a Rajya Sabha election. I am conscious of the fact that there are two views on the matter, but that's also an issue which is pending before this Honorable House. In fact, when we speak in terms of secrecy, let me just read out one paragraph from a judgment of the Supreme Court which arose in the context of a Rajya Sabha election, where secrecy was used to perpetuate corruption. When secrecy was used to perpetuate corruption, this is what the Supreme Court had really to say. The interpretation of section 94, which appeals to us, ensures free and fair election. Secrecy of ballot was mooted to ensure free and fair elections. If the very secrecy of ballot, instead of ensuring free and fair elections, strikes at the root of the principle of free and fair elections, the basic postulate of democracy would be utilized for undoing free and fair elections, which provide the life and blood to parliamentary democracy. If secrecy of ballot, instead of ensuring free and fair election, is used as was done in this very case to defeat the very purpose for which it was enacted, to suppress a wrong coming to light and to protect a fraud on the election process, or even defend a crime, that is for forgery of a ballot paper, the principle of secrecy will have to yield to a larger principle of free and fair elections. The principle being, in that case, it was a case of corruption. So they said, if secrecy breeds corruption, then perhaps transparency may bring sunlight to the electoral process. So secrecy is important, but here in the context of security personnel, we are speaking in terms of either giving them an absolute secrecy, which may effectively mean virtually no right to vote because less than a minuscule percentage are able to vote, or by this alternative system, giving them an enabling provision where a large number of them who choose to exercise their vote by proxy, this facility is also available to them. So this system has been is being tried today in at least 10 countries for different category of voters. Belgium is trying it, Canada is trying it, France, Netherlands, United Kingdom, USA. These are trying it for different categories of voters. And I think as a live democracy, this is one new methodology that we have to try, and we will see how the results of this work out, whether it can be extended or it has to be improved upon further. With these few words, sir, I commend to this Honorable House that this bill be accepted by the Honorable House.
Thank you, Minister.